Bonjour et bienvenue. Welcome to the third pitching session of today, this time on the topic of ocean and water. Quick show of hands, who had a chance in 2025 to swim in the ocean or swim in a lake yet? Who had that chance? Okay, a few lucky few. I hope that you all get to appreciate the wonderful feeling of plunging into the water. It's everywhere around us. Water is life. We depend on it for our living. You need a few liters every day to survive. But the way that we produce and use, ship, distribute, use our water today has been quite unsustainable. We've not been within the planetary boundaries. So today we're going to hear a lot of interesting ideas, exciting initiatives to tackle that topic of ocean and water. Before we go over to hear the wonderful speakers, I want to introduce the jury and give each of you about 20 seconds, very short and brief, to introduce yourself. You should have a microphone here. Going to start on my right. Yes, hello.
So hi everyone, I'm Julie Perrache. I'm Investment Director for Swan Ocean, an investment fund dedicated to ocean.
Wonderful. Very short and sweet.
Hi everyone, good to see you all. My name is Katie Morgan. I lead our climate work here at MIT Solve. So we support innovators around the world that are doing great things and have a background in coral reef ecology. So excited to hear some things about oceans today.
Great to have you, Katie.
Hello everyone, I'm Aurélie Dubois. I represent Respect Ocean. It's a French network who gather solution providers for ocean preservation.
Wonderful. Good to have you, Aurélie.
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Vu and I work at the International Trade Center, which is a joint agency of the United Nations and the World Trade Organization. We're supporting, specifically our attendance here is to support tech startups going international and have them access international value chains. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to have you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Julie Blaine. I'm founding partner of The Table. The Table is a co-investment community of funds who bring together women-led climate tech startups. The Table Foundation will be offering patient capital grants to these ventures as well.
Hello, everybody. I'm Xavier. I'm the founding partner of 4P Capital. We're a multi-strategy impact investment firm, and we invest out of a pre-seed seed fund into sustainable transformation, among which ocean and water.
Wonderful. Very, very brief and to the point. Very brief and to the... I'm not sure you... Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay, wonderful. Okay, so how this is going to go is that we have 5 pitches in the first round, 3 minutes each, followed by a Q&A, followed by another round of 5 pitches, then also followed by a round of Q&A. And without further ado, I'd love to ask the first speaker on stage, and that would be Charles from Aquasaic. Your time to shine.
Hi everyone, my name is Shalmali and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Aquasaic, and we're very excited to be sharing with you our solution today to enable the clean energy transition while delivering clean water for every life's mosaic. So what we have done at Aquasaic is solve this twofold problem. One of these problems, which most of us in this room do not face, is having access to clean and easy water straight to our homes. The other problem that we are solving is that most of us in this room also use our devices, our phones, our laptops every day without necessarily wondering where the metal in them comes from and what ends up happening after we end up throwing away 70% of these devices and therefore 70% of these metals into the landfill. So at Aquasaic, At Aquasaic, this is not supposed to be a blank slide. What is supposed to be here is our demonstration of our solution. And what we've done is we've developed this baker's yeast, the same yeast that we've been using for generations to bake bread, to clean up and eat up different heavy metals out of different water bodies. So this can be used to clean up drinking water from legacy manufacturing sites that gets deployed into folks' homes, such as cadmium, lead, arsenic, and mercury, to deliver clean water to different folks. In addition to that, this can also be used to recover and recycle different heavy metals and different precious metals like cobalt, strontium, nickel, and copper to reinvigorate and re-stimulate a more green and circular economy, therefore reducing the need for mining and reducing the need for carbon emissions that are associated with these dirty mining practices. We expect this technology to be applied to meet the growing demands of the clean energy transition, and we're excited to both deliver clean water as well as recover and recycle these heavy metals, which both of these are included in the scope of our work. We are doing this initially by piloting with this rural town in India, as well as a more industrialized municipality in California in the US. When we compare our technology against different standards that are held today, we have a high carbon abatement while having a high social impact and being a non-toxic solution, therefore having lower toxicity to the humans that end up deploying the solution as well. We intend to expand globally, so we already have a pilot in India and California, and we're expanding to other locations, including Mongolia. And with that, our team is very excited to enable the clean energy transition while delivering clean water for every life's mosaic. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You can pass it on. Thank you. That was Shalmali from Aquasaic. Really interesting. Thank you for your pitch. Next up is Diana Youssef from ChangeWater Labs. Your time to shine.
Hey, so hi, I'm Diana Youssef, founder of ChangeWater Labs. A few years ago, I was working for NASA looking at how to recycle wastewater on the space station. What I realized is that space is very similar to places on Earth that don't have enough water or efficient ways to flush away waste. In fact, $19 billion per year gets spent on non-flush toilets. Also, by 2030, 60% of people are going to be living in urban cities. Yet, with this rapid urban build-out, there isn't going to be the same rate of infrastructure expansion, and we're facing increasing water scarcity. So that means that 1/3 of city residents, 2 billion people, will have to have a non-flush toilet. That also means that cities will need to install 500 million new non-sewered toilets in order to avoid drowning in sewage. So, ChangeWater Labs has come up with a way to get rid of waste fast without flushing or frequent collection. Instead, we shrink it. Human waste is 95% water, so instead of flushing it, we can just evaporate it. We've developed the iThrone, a waterless, sewerless toilet that rapidly shrinks human waste. The iThrone collects waste in bags made of a membrane, a novel breathable material that we call shrink wrap for crap. These bags quickly soak up the liquid water content of human waste, and by pulling it through the material, convert that liquid into pure water vapor, essentially evaporating it, but without needing heat or a lot of energy to do so. This shrinks collected waste volumes by 95% in just one day. So, with 2 urban field pilots, we've been able to prove that the iThrone shrinks collected waste by 97%, is able to run 100% off-grid, is 500 to 300 times cheaper to install, and 30 to 100 times cheaper to service. We're targeting market launch in 2026, initially focused on B2B sales, specifically to engineering firms and urban developers who need no hookup, low capex toilets to install in new non-sewered buildings and construction, and portable toilet providers who need low OpEx, low maintenance portable toilets. In the future, we'll also sell to governments and NGOs. So the iThrone is a single solution that has the potential to address 13 of the 17 SDGs. Just one of our iThrone toilets protects or reduces disease exposure for 1,000 people, saves 1,000 bathtubs per year of pure water, gets rid of 24 bathtubs per year of of human sewage, and eliminates GHGs that are equivalent to burning 125,000 pounds of coal per year. We're currently raising a round of $3 million, all with the aim to extend safe and sustainable sanitation to more people in more places at lower cost. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You can pass that on to the next. Shrinking the crab. That's wonderful. Sounds like a fantastic solution. Next up would be Daniel Lux from Floating Cow. I'm interested to hear what that's all about. Thank you.
Okay. Oh. So is that fresh water you would like to swim in? Maybe not. The Danish word of the year 2024 was actually phytomoi, which is a type of algae. And that says a lot. Hi, I'm Daniel Lux from Floating Cow. Algae are an accelerating global problem. It's in Bali, it's in the Caribbean, and of course also in the Baltic Sea. The algae bloom is basically a vicious circle. So the algae bloom because we have too much nitrates and phosphate in the water. Then they die. They actually initially absorb CO2. They die, and then they deplete the water of oxygen. And next year, the CO2 is evaporated, and the phosphate and the nitrate is back in the water, returning back to growth. There are some solutions, for example, land-based filtration, which is hard because you need to move all the water. Chemical algae destruction, which is bad because that actually puts chemicals in and kills the other biodiversity underwater. Or you have human-operated harvesters, which are expensive. Our solution is an autonomous algae collector, so a robot which can be scaled. One robot can cover about 1 to 4 square kilometers of size. It's the size of a car. And it can operate 24/7. It's highly scalable, removes excess nutrients, and avoids the oxygen depletion, thereby mass extinction under the water. And it also produces CO2 credits. The business model is quite nice because actually we start earning money very early. You have a rent per day, which often is sponsored by large companies, so we put branding on the boat. Then you gain the CO2 credits, which are bio-based carbon credits, which fetch a high price. And the biomass can be used for useful things like, for example, fertilizer, bioplastics, or biofuel. So you have a circular economy. We are an international team of founders, so my two co-founders are sitting over there. If you want to talk to us, I'm in Denmark. We have one in Germany and one in the UK. And we are all quite experienced co-founders to scale our solution. So come talk to us later.
Thank you. You can pass that on to the next. Wonderful. That was Daniel Lux from the Floating Cow. And next up is Damien from GREENOV. Your 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah. Hello everyone. I'm very happy to be there in order to present you our subsequent solution. Before to start it, I would like just to emphasize the context. So we are talking about the offshore wind farm rush. And as you can see there, in the next 50 years, we will install 30 times 4 more offshore wind farms that currently installed. That's being to be a lot of colonization of human activity into the seabed ecosystems. As you can see there, in the North Sea, you will have a lot of this impacted area. In order to introduce you one of the worst impact of this installation of wind farm, I would like you to play an immersive game. So I would like you to close your eyes and let's imagine that you are a whale, a fish, or whatever you like in the oceans. And just hear the sound of installation of these wind farms. I don't know if the sound is okay. So it's very painful. Let's imagine that one pile driving of one single pile is 4,000 times an explosion of TNT into the seabed. Let's imagine that this sound that you hear is only have to be multiplied by 200 million in order to hear the real sounds of these things. Of course, we cannot provide these sounds, otherwise you will be all killed today. The problem is that this human activity introduces a huge level of underwater noise. As you can see there, is one of the worst human activities for underwater noises. And it's introduced noise at the same level that human fishes. it's more than what human can support. So for human, we've got the solution is like this type of hearing glow. But for animals, no way to use this type of things. That's why we developed the subsequator, a soft membrane that allows to reduce this level of noise by mitigating and containing the pile before peeling. That's a very efficient system because we're able to reduce the noise by 95 to 99% of the power sound pressure level received by animals. That's not only theory, that's real, because we already demonstrated in Saint-Nazaire early 2024 the efficiency of the system. The system has a lot of benefits, cheapest, most efficient, easiest to use, and so on. And we target to be the worldwide leader of this noise abatement system market by 2030, but also to mitigate the noise of 1.2 billion meters cubed of oceans. We got a lot of support, but today you've got the power to help us to restore the word of silence so dear to the Commandant Cousteau. I will let you with our ambassadors.
Wonderful. You can pass that on to the next, yeah. Thank you, Damien. And the last pitch of this first half of the pitches on the topic of ocean and water will be by Yvette Ishimwe from the IRIBA Water Group. Your 3 minutes. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. In 2015, my family relocated from Kigali city to a rural place in Rwanda, in eastern Rwanda. I experienced firsthand how it feels like to live in a community where accessing safe drinking water is like a luxury. And that pain, that experience, is what sparked in me the zeal to create a solution. And that was the birth of IRIBA Water Group. IRIBA Water Group is a social enterprise that exists to transform lives through climate-smart water innovations. And to date, we are present in 3 countries and piloting in Ghana, Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, and in Rwanda. But still, the problem is still massive. 1 in 3 Africans still lack access to safe drinking water. Children lose more than 272 million school days every year due to waterborne diseases. It's crazy. But we have a solution for that. IRIBA Tap and Drink, we set up smart water ATMs in public places. These are all-in-one kind of devices that purify dirty water, make it safe for drinking at an affordable price. And we install these technologies in schools free of charge and leverage the carbon market, selling carbon credits to make that drinking water accessible to the bottom of the pyramid, particularly children in schools. To date, we've reached 500,000 people with safe drinking water. We have been able to avoid more than 100,000 tons of CO2 emissions every single year, have created 194 jobs through our franchise model because our water ATMs are run by young people and women who run them as their own businesses. 86% of these jobs are owned by women. And we are aligned with a lot of SDGs. So this is real impact, which has been recognized by so many people that we are very grateful for. And don't hear it from me. Hear it from our own customers who are really happy about this solution, how it is convenient, near to them, affordable, and accessible. And the franchisees who have been able to pay for their education thanks to the revenues they generate from this business. So we're raising $4.3 million because we believe we're just getting started. And with this money, we'll be able to reach up to 2.5 million people with safe drinking water, create more than 300 new jobs in addition to what we've done, and you'll be able to avert thousands and hundreds of thousands of CO2 emissions every single year. We are raising this money through a blended financing, 35% grants, 35% revenue-based financing, and 30% through SAFE and DATE. Thank you so much for your attention, and please join us in creating this impact.
Thank you. You can stay with me. You can stay with me. I would love to ask the 4 other speakers to also rejoin us on stage, maybe to my left and to my right. And we're going to have around 7 to 8 minutes for question and answers from the jury. Please, whoever wants to start can go ahead.
It's a question for IRIBA Water. Are you considering integrating new technology or services into your offering?
Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely. We continue to research and develop new technologies to make it better. Since when we started from one technology, and then the market gives us feedback, and we had to improve it and improve it. So we are never going to stop learning. So absolutely, yes, we'll continue to improve our technologies as the market demands.
Wonderful. Thank you. Whoever wants to go?
Hi, I have a question for ChangeWater Labs. Where are the iThrones manufactured?
So we have an out-licensing model where we can have them, essentially the bulkiest, sort of the structural part, manufactured and installed by local partners. So in Panama, it was a construction company where we sent them the designs and they were able to source the structural components, and then we came down with the ventilation system and the evaporative bags. That's going to be our go-to-market strategy, where essentially a small team in Boston gets an outsized global footprint by partnering through out-licensing models with construction companies, equipment manufacturers, and the providers of that type of infrastructure.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, please.
Hi, I have a question for Floating Cow. So I was wondering if you were able to also repurpose the algae that you will catch. Like, do you think of another purpose for that to really make it as circular as you can?
Yes, that's part of the idea. So you have 2 problems. One is the collecting, and the other thing is what you use them for. Right now, freshwater algae you can use for fertilizer, liquid fertilizer. If you're lucky, you need to test them first. You can also degas them and make methane or methanol out of them, biofuels, or you can use them bioplastics. When you have saltwater algae, you need to remove the salt first. That's a challenge. There's still research ongoing, so we need to industrialize the process of removing it, and then you can use it for the same use. And we need a lot of biofuel for aviation and for shipping in the future, which I don't think will be solved by ESAF or, yeah.
Wonderful. Whoever wants to go next? Yes, please.
Daniel, I'm going to ask you one more question. I want to hear about your customers. Who are the customer base, and who's renting this robot?
Yeah. So right now we have a municipality in Denmark where I live, so the Maria Fjord, which is basically dead. Often it will be public waters. The model that we want to anticipate is that you have large companies sponsoring the boats, so the municipality doesn't have to pay for it. And then the carbon credits will reduce the cost of having it. And the biomass, we foresee that it only just about covers the removal of the biomass, so it doesn't really bring revenue. But yeah, so you need to bring a few players together to get the business model working.
Great. Yes, please.
I have a question for Aquasaic. Could you describe a little bit more how does it work, your technology? How you do?
Absolutely. So what we've done is we've knocked out the yeast's ability to produce essential amino acids, which in turn increases the yeast's production of hydrogen sulfide. This hydrogen sulfide then reacts with the different heavy metals, precipitating out metal sulfides. These metal sulfides can then be recovered and either disposed of in the case of the toxic metals, or they can be recycled and repurposed in the case of the precious metals. And also this gives me an opportunity, since we had technical problems earlier, to invite you all to stop by our booth for us to be able to demonstrate to all of you how we can clean up this water. Thank you.
Wonderful. Yes.
Okay, so I have a question for ChangeWater. Competition, markets. Tell me, who are you fighting against? Who's fighting against you?
So the market's pretty fragmented along a couple of different types of solutions. Pretty much the main competitors are chemical portable toilets, incinerating toilets, composting toilets, And I'm not going to include flush toilets because we're trying to enable sanitation where that's not possible. None of those is really good solutions for urban areas, which is what we're targeting, urban areas and coastal areas. Largely because either, like chemical toilets, they have to be emptied frequently, and what comes out of the toilet has a lot of toxic chemicals in it and has to be disposed of fairly in a regulated way. Composting toilets discharge waste on site, so you really can't use those in crowded communities. But they also don't shrink waste. They don't really. Oftentimes they fail. So they're trying to neutralize the waste, but you can't really run them very well. So they become vectors for disease spread, and they're also icky. People don't like them. And then incinerating toilets will, essentially incinerate the waste. But the amount of energy that they use, it's like 1.5 kilowatt hour per use. Our toilet for the ventilation is using 0.2 kilowatt hour per day to evaporate 95% of the waste that gets collected. Markets, so actually we thought that our first markets were going to be places where the alternative to our toilet was no toilet. So we initially focused on emerging markets, and we have a pilot that went into Uganda, a pilot that was with a construction company in Panama. But surprisingly, we've had inbound, we're now deploying a pilot to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and also potentially with an urban developer in Cape Town. And also we're getting interest from coastal communities in Massachusetts that have a real problem with sewage discharge and septic discharge into the oceans that are causing algae blooms. So we're looking at essentially a zero discharge alternative to septic. So we're actually getting a lot of interest, and also Hawaii and FIFA World Cup. So we're getting a lot of interest in richer markets that we hadn't really anticipated. Did that answer your question, or did you have? Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'll have more, but we can speak later.
We have a booth also in the oceans section. So come by and see a little mini version of our toilet evaporating, not waste, but water.
Okay, great. Thank you. We have time for maybe one more. Yeah.
It's a question for Damien for GREENOV. So you mentioned that you made test you have a test in Saint-Nazaire. What was the scale of your test, and what are the next step for your technology?
Yeah, the scale was the same scale that for pin pile. So you've got several types of foundation: monopile, pin pile, jacket, floating, and it's for floating and jacket size. So it's a one pile around 4 meters of diameters and 50 meters of depth. The next step is to test the big solution, which is 12 meters of diameter pile and up to 70 meters of depth. That will be done officially in Germany in 2027. And we just also decide to start a new project with two big French companies in order to demonstrate the solution in one future French work in 2030 also for floating wind farm.
Okay. Right on time, in fact. Thank you so much to the first 5 speakers. Big round of applause for these wonderful individuals with some great ideas. I'd love to ask you off the stage and then reunite in the networking area after the session. Without further ado, we're going to go to the 6th pitcher of today. And that speaker would be Nicolas from PRONOE. Your time to shine.
Thank you. Hi. I'm Nicolas, CEO and co-founder of PRONOE, a seed-stage CO2 removal startup. At PRONOE, we remove CO2 by enhancing the biggest carbon sink, our oceans. They remove over 25% of our CO2 emissions each year. However, this leads to rapid acidification, impacting coastal ecosystems and communities, as well as CO2 saturation of surface waters, meaning less removal efficiency. The opposite is also true. By locally mitigating the acidification of surface waters, one also restores the natural capacity to capture and store CO2 durably. This is what we do. How do we do that? We target coastal industrial sites and seamlessly integrate our compact automated systems downstream of our operations. Our innovative, patented technology splits water between an alkaline and an acidic stream. We neutralize the acid and recombine them. At the end of the day, we turn industrial flows into less acidic or more alkaline flows, continuously monitored for the issuance of high-quality CO2 removal certificates. All that within applicable regulations and with environmental and industrial co-benefits. In just under 2 years, we've proven the technology, secured key scientific, technical, and industrial partners, and were awarded by top-tier international institutions. Together with Juan, my co-founder, a PhD in process design with field experience in water treatment, we've assembled a diverse international team and secured the support of experts and investors. We are currently working on our first demonstration project at a desalination plant in Spain in just under 6 months with a capacity of 150 tons of CO2 per year. Our strategy is to leverage massive existing infrastructure and focus on scaling our modular technology to 10,000 tons and 50,000 tons scales. Our beachhead is the desalination industry, and our standardized systems can fit with wastewater treatment plants as well as power plants, providing a clear pathway to removals at scale. The potential is huge. Addressing only 10% of global return flows would enable the removal of 700 million tons of removal per year per site. We are pitching at ChangeNOW today in order to raise awareness on ocean acidification and carbon removal solutions, engage with climate-conscious corporate prospective buyers and industrial partners, and like-minded investors in the context of our upcoming seed round. Please come talk to us. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. You can hand this to the next speaker. That was Nicolas from PRONOE, and up next is Stefan from Sailcoop.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. So, I'm Stefan from Sailcoop. I'm very pleased. And now, after all those clean water, we're going to travel on the water. So, let me introduce you the Montezuma. Montezuma was the last sailing boat that has onboarded passengers in the history. It was more than 150 years back. It was the only way to cross the Atlantic, so 34 days to cross and 500 passengers. And guess what? Today, we replaced the Montezuma. We replaced the Montezuma with a lot of planes. In 2025, it takes us only 8 hours to cross the ocean. Still 500 passengers, but of course, you know the problem. It's very, very carbon emissive. It's so carbon emissive that today the civil flight represents more than 1 billion equivalent CO2 in the atmosphere, which makes us to contribute more than 5% to the anthropogenic global warming. And the worst is that it's going to double by 2050. But you're going to ask, where are the sailing boats? Are they in fairy tales, stuck in fairy tales? No, not at all. This is another boat, Banque Populaire. In 2009, it took it 3 days to cross. But what if we would just use the wind to replace some of the traffic by air? This was the simple idea on which we launched Sailcoop in 2021. We've raised 2 million euros on just citizens, and now we have more than 3,000 citizens that have crowdfunded the companies. We operate now on 3 lines, one in France for short distance, one between France and Corsica, and we will make people crossing the Atlantic on sailing boats. We are now addressing 3 markets. Short range, so 80 passengers, so this boat is now on sea in Brittany. We have middle range boats between Corsica and France, and for long range boats, for the moment we are partnering with a sailing cargo ship. But we have great expectation and great projects in mind. For the middle range distances, we are going to finance and design a boat that will accommodate 30 people right now. And our big project for 2027 will be also to build the next transatlantic. But finally, what if decarbonization wasn't our main challenge? What we want also to do is to redesign the way we transport and we dream on the ocean. Thank you.
Thank you. You can pass that on to the next. Thank you, Nicolas. Stefan from Sailcoop. Next up is Jonas from SAVWA. Stage is yours.
So, first of all, I brought a question for all of us. Who of you likes to eat fruits and vegetables? Please raise your hand. Great. And who of you washes the fruits and vegetables before you eat them? Please raise your hand. Great. My name is Jonas. I'm the founder of SAVWA. And what we just learned is that all of us, we are wasting water because we are not using the water again, which is still good to use. Like, for example, if you wash your fruits and vegetables. If we sum it up, that's more than 50,000 trucks per day, or more than 1 billion of liters of water wasted every day. We have a solution for you. We developed a device which collects the water in the daily life, stores it, and makes it possible to reuse, for example, to water your plants. This is our first product, SAVWA. It's a beautiful looking design piece for your kitchen to stay on the kitchen counter and to put it in your sink. You easily collect the water when you're, for example, washing your fruits or washing your hands, and then you can reuse it for a second usage. Before, to do so, you needed several devices like a watering can, like a sieve or a funnel. Now you can do it all with one beautiful looking piece. What do we want to do with this product? First of all, we want to save water in your home, but we go much further. When you take the water and collect it, and you see how much it is, we have a psychological effect, which makes us aware of our water usage and makes us reduce the water consumption, even if our water is, or our product is not around. So we have a ripple effect and scaling our impact. We are currently looking at a market size of 400 million households across more than 40 countries, mainly in the US and in Western Europe. How do we want to go into these markets? We are the first to market with our product. We are creating a new product category, and we are an extendable brand, so there are more products to come. What is our business model? Our business model is a typical D2C model. We are selling via e-commerce, and we are on Kickstarter with our first product soon. We are projecting 1 million of sales for this year, and we are about to triple about in the next 2 years. Who is making all of that happen? The team behind the SAVWA project is Tim Periskal for social media, Gage as an advisor, and Arda for branding. My name is Jonas. Thanks a lot for listening.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jonas. Wonderful. Next up, second last, is Ruben from Solaq. Your time to shine starts now. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ruben Moore, and I'm very happy to be here today to tell you all about our technology, which creates a new, sustainable source of water security anywhere in the world. Water. What many of us take for granted is one of our biggest challenges worldwide. And unfortunately, it's only getting worse. Now, for many places, the only real solution that people have is to transport water over sometimes very large distances. And this water trucking is extremely expensive, it's polluting, it's unreliable, and it's often also unsafe regarding the water quality. Now, for many of these places, there will soon be a viable and sustainable alternative in the enormous amount of water in the air around us. Now, at Solaq, we're developing air-to-water technology to make use of this enormous potential. Our system extracts water from the air and can do this practically anywhere in the world without the need of any existing infrastructure and fully based on solar energy. Now, in this slide, you see a mock-up of a full-scale system with a production capacity of 5,000 liters of water each day anywhere in the world, so independent of climate.
Like this.
Now, there's a lot of different use cases and applications that can make use of this type of technology. And we will first really be focusing on delivering high-quality drinking water in places where there isn't any other source of water other than this water transport. And unfortunately, there's a whole lot of places in the world where this is the case, right? Now, our first focus will be on the northeastern part of Brazil, in the so-called semi-arid region there, where the droughts are becoming worse and worse each year. And the situation there is now such that the government needs to provide 1.6 million people with 20 liters of water each day, all year round, using these trucks. So it's an enormous amount of water that's being trucked. Now, when we take into account the price of this water trucking, in this specific region in Brazil, there's already space for more than 4,000 of our units with a market of more than 1 billion euros for a product that is then more sustainable, more reliable, of better quality, and cheaper than the current solution. Now, 2 years ago, we developed, built, and tested a first integrated prototype at 1/10 scale. This system was able to produce more than 200 liters of water each day during the height of the dry season in Brazil. And we're currently building our first full-scale system, 2,000 liters a day, to be demonstrated again to our partners and launching customer at the end of this year in Brazil. And after that, the plan is to have commercial pilots next year and scale up throughout the region, focusing on Latin America in 2026, 2027, 2028. Now, to do this, we raised a 1.9 million seed round last year, and we're currently bringing you all along, investors along our journey, to come see the hardware, see the iterations in preparation for a seed round next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You can pass it on to the next. Thank you, Ruben. Last pitch of the ocean and water category is Alvaro from Universal Plastic. Tell us what that's all about.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm Alvaro Bravo, marine engineer by profession, surfer by passion, and entrepreneur by life. Since last 3 years, I've joined forces with PhD oceanographer Mario Lebrato, Master Social Science Brit Trago, telecommunication engineer and data science Adria Gonzalez. At Universal Plastic, we believe marine plastic waste collection is a two-side problem. On one side, beach cleanup initiatives lack financial resources, digital tools, and scientific data. On the other side, companies feel lost on how they use their ESG budget. To bridge this gap, we have created ESG assets as a product. Basically, it's data that offers companies ESG investment opportunities while canalizing corporate resources into beach cleanups. As an industry innovation, we have created ONDAs. But what are ONDAs? Ocean notarized digital assets. By registering data with our app, beach cleanup organizations generates ONDAs and gets paid by companies that want to invest in ESG. As a marketing strategy, we have developed the Become Blue verification plan, which is a monthly plan to integrate blue economy into the business activities as a CSR strategy. And if you still are hesitating, we are a data science company. We use AI to digitally measure, report, and verify plastic waste collections, gather raw data, organize that data, and make it ready to use. On the other side, we use blockchain for ESG compliance, data traceability, and many more. Okay, that's our Become Blue verification plan. And if we talk about our total addressable market is an ocean of opportunities, around $3.5 trillion, of which we calculate to obtain 40 million in the next 5 years. This will help us in this next seed round of 1.5 million we are looking for to keep scaling our 30 portfolio companies that generate 500K annual recurrent revenue. This is Universal Plastic, where ocean regeneration meets digital innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You can stay with us. Stay with me. Thank you very much, Alvaro. I would love to ask the other 4 speakers to come rejoin us on stage, deep in their conversations. Please come and rejoin me on stage, maybe to my left and to my right. And just like last time, we have about 7 minutes or so for some Q&A. And whoever wants to start, please go ahead.
I have a question for Solaq. What will be the impact at scale of like extracting water from the air?
I'm gonna try to do this quick. There's a few different answers. One is it's comparable to windmills. Like if you put windmills everywhere, do you stop the wind? It's very insignificant. Two, assuming that it's for drinking water or for animals or for agriculture and it's used locally, so not for hydrogen that is transported away, it goes right back into the ecosystem. And three, I think 100 years from now, people will be actually pitching water from the air to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, because as the temperatures rise, water goes into the air, which makes a runaway greenhouse effect. So we might actually be talking about this being necessary very long from now.
Thank you. Other questions? Yes, please.
Yeah, for PRONOE, tell me a bit about, or us about your go-to-market strategy and the sales cycles. So how long are your sales cycles and how's your go-to-market strategy?
Yes, thanks. So essentially we are original equipment manufacturer and project developers. What that means is essentially we pre-finance the project. At the end of the day, what we sell is over long-term offtake agreements, CO2 removal certificates. And once we secure these offtake agreements, we can deploy effectively on the project with our local industry partners. In terms of go-to-market, the CO2 removal market is extremely dynamic. There's actually, as of today, about 4 billion that are committed on the voluntary market, and regulations are coming in place fast. First regulation has been drafted in Europe in November for regulated markets in 2028.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for SAVWA. You describe quite a big market opportunity, and I was wondering how the product design might be able to scale there using tech, because at the moment it's not using tech, it's using a design-led, and I'm wondering if the scale, if there's a product design and scale using tech that you've thought about.
Yeah, so basically we are starting now with a glass product, which is like for smaller quantities, but we have a plan ready to go to recycled plastic so that we can scale up easier and bring down the prices. So that's currently the strategy. Yeah.
I have a question for Sailcoop. I'm curious to understand what your target audience is and how many trips have already been, done back and forth, and how you also try to ensure inclusivity. So I understand, your target audience will depend on how much a ticket will be. So curious to learn more about that. Thanks.
So currently we have 3 boats on the water. One is the target boat, so for short distance. It's a boat that we designed, so 80 people for short distance, and it's definitely with this kind of boat that we will be able to be accessible to everyone, because there's a lot of people that can on board. For the middle distance, between France and Corsica, for example, we still use a pleasure craft that have been redesigned for us. So 8 people, 8 passengers on board, and 2 crews. So of course the economic model is not the best. But what we want to do, investing in a bigger vessel, is making also the trip more accessible. But still there we have a market. We have a lot of people on boarding our boats because definitely there's a market. But we want to be accessible. And for long distance, it's of course our dream to rebuild the big passenger ships, and with those big passenger ships, that would be the most sober as possible in terms of energy consumption, because it's not all about using wind, but if you have a swimming pool on board, that's not good at all. So we will have those real ships, and they will onboard more than 200 people, and this is the way we will make sustainable travel more accessible.
I have another question, if I may, to sneak in for Sailcoop. Have you thought about using it with cargo? And if so, would the design of the ship need to change?
Yeah. In fact, during the very short presentation, I mentioned that we will operate a line between La Rochelle and Baltimore from August. And this is a partnership with a sailing cargo. So sailing cargo is pretty different. They've been launched since the last 10 years. So they are well much advanced at sailing big passenger ships. but they build 6 cabins inside for passengers. So one of our goals is also to have a global offer and also to sell the passengers' cabins beds that will be available on those cargo ships. But of course, transporting passengers is very different from transporting goods. So these would be 2 different ships. Thank you for the question.
Yes, please.
I have a question for PRONOE. How do you plan to deploying your technology on a large scale to have a significant impact on global CO2 capture?
So I'm not sure I got everything, but I'm going to try to answer. So essentially, our strategy is to deploy small to mid-scale units. So we are talking 10,000 to 50,000 tons. We are talking 10 tons of CO2 per year per site. And then the potential for deployment is huge. Globally, we are talking 18,000 desalination plants. And only in Europe, for wastewater treatment plants, we have 11,000 coastal wastewater treatment plants. So.
For Universal Plastic, curious about if there's certain markets that you're most excited about, if there's different sectors that you are targeting for this app to be able to talk to certain people that are interested in their ESG approach. Are there sectors that you're talking to first?
Okay, our target right now is medium to large European companies, but we are also working with governments. We already sell a project to the Spanish government, and we already sell the project to another government. So that's another vertical we are doing in the company. But basically what we do is we use these medium to large companies to help us not just collecting the plastic. What they are doing is help us to generate data. Then we process that data and we sell it into different type of targets, right? It could be either exchanges for credits, it could be governments for productivity of the blue economy, it could be CSR for companies, etc., etc.
Okay.
One
last short question.
Solaq, maybe I missed it, but what's the type of throughput of one of these plants? How much yield can you produce in water? How much can you service?
So a full-scale system will be 2,000 or 5,000 liters of drinking water per day. We're talking 1 million cubic meters of air that you have to process for that, right? If that answers your question.
It does, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Big round of applause for the last 5 and the first 5 speakers of today. 3 quick things that I'd love to share. Number 1, you can continue the conversation as the speakers and the jury networking area. Number 2, we would love to ask the jury to vote for their favorite presentation, the so-called coup de cœur. And number 3, we're going to continue on the pitching stage here at 2 p.m. with another round and firework of ideas and initiatives. But for now, thank you. Enjoy your lunch or whatever you have to do. And thank you so much for your ideas and contributions.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.